Okay, so today we're going to learn how to graph quadratics. And the nice thing about learning to graph quadratics is we're going to start off how we would start by graphing any kind of function, which is pick random x values and plug them in and see what y values you get. So again, I'm going to pick random x values, and the x values I'm going to pick are 1, 2, and 3. And we'll just plug them in and see what we get. So I'm going to have 1 squared plus 2 times 1 plus 1, and that should give me 4. So I'll have 2 squared plus 2 times 1, or 2 times 2 plus 1, and that's going to give me 9. Then 3 is going to get pretty big, but 3 squared plus 2 times 3 plus 1, so you have 9 plus 6 plus 1, which will give you 16. So those are the 3 points, and let's graph those 3 points. So we have 1, 4, 2, 9, and you can already see that we're going way off the graph. So we kind of get this really high up shape for our graph. Now, the issue with that graph is we got this shape, and if you look at the actual shape of the graph on the other side, it makes this U shape that we found yesterday. And so if we just pick random points, a lot of times you don't get this nice U shape over on this side, and you end up getting a part of the U. So we actually got the very top of the U with the points we picked. So the issue with picking random points is you might not make a good U shape. It might become really bad. So we actually have to pick very specific points when we graph these things. So we're going to try again. We're going to try to graph the same function over again, but pick smart points this time. So one really smart point is the vertex. Because if you know the vertex, you know the bottom of the U, and you can pick points to one side of the U or the other side of the U. The other 2 points we're going to end up picking is one above and one below. So we're going to pick, those are the 3 points we're going to pick. We're going to pick the vertex, we're going to pick 1 point above and 1 point below. So let's try to find the vertex. Well, if we remember from last time, we can find the x value of the vertex by finding the axis of symmetry, or negative b over 2a. So for this example, that would be negative 2 over 2 times 1, which would give me negative 1. So that's my x value. So my middle x value I'm going to pick, or my vertex x value, is going to be negative 1. And then I'm going to pick one y value, or one x value that's below, and one x value that's above. So now I have negative 2, negative 1, and 0. And those are going to give me much nicer points than what I had before, and help me graph a better U shape. So if we end up plugging in negative 2 of negative 2 squared plus 2 times negative 2 plus 1, and that should give me 1. When I plug this negative 1 in, I should get negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 plus 1, which should give me 0. Then we'll plug this in, 0 squared plus 2 times 0 plus 1, which should give me 1. And you can already see that we got a low number, a higher number, and a higher number that's the same distance apart, so we can already see the U shape much better. Now let's try to graph it this time and see what we get. So I got a point there, a point here, and a point here, and as you can see, it's much easier to draw the U shape, and we get a much better graph from these 3 points than the random 3 points we picked. So again, when you're graphing this function, you want to pick the vertex, you want to pick 1 point above and then 1 point below. So we're going to try this one more time. So here's my new example. Again, we want to find the vertex first. So to find the vertex, I'm going to find that x point by going negative b over 2a. For this one, that would be a positive 12, because it's going to be the opposite of negative 12. And then 2 times 4. And when I divide that out, it's going to give me 1.5. Now, we have our x value there, and I'm going to pick my vertex points again. When I pick, so that's my vertex point, and I'm going to pick 1 point above and 1 point below. So 1 point above would be 2, and 1 point below would be 1. It's a lot easier when the vertex is a whole number, because you just go 1 apart, but having 0.5 isn't too bad, because I can just go 0.5 above and 0.5 below to get my whole numbers again. So now we'll plug these points in and kind of see what we get. So 4 times 1 squared minus 12 times 1 plus 9. And this should give me 1. Then we'll do the same thing. We'll plug in our 1.5. And when I plug this in, I end up getting 0. And now we'll plug 2 in. So do 4 times 2 squared minus 12 times 2 plus 9. And again, when I do all that, I just end up with 1. So here we go. We're going to graph these things. So I'm going to rewrite the points that I picked. And if you remember, I got 1, 0, and 1. Then we're just going to graph that. So my point is over 1.5 and at 0. And I get a point here at 1 and a point here at 1. We get a much skinnier parabola this time. We can still see that nice U shape. So again, this is how you graph parabolas or quadratics. First, find the vertex. Pick 1 point above and 1 point below. Plug in those points and just graph the quadratic.